Thank you for all of you who are joining us. It's very exciting to know that we have that much interest from customers and prospects on the line today. This is the quick agenda that we're going to go through. I'm going to go talk a little bit about PaperSave and go through my top 5 picks for tricks and tips. A little bit about me, Tammy Bower. I'm Senior Sales Solutions Consultant here. That's a big, long, fancy title that means a lot of things. I've been around for a long time. I think that's why the senior's there. And then I've actually been representing the PaperSave brand for over 16 years. Before that, I used to work for Blackbaud, and I sold Financial Edge and the Razor's Edge for a period of time there. And before that, I was an accounts payable admin. So hopefully my background has led me to this point in my career to be able to be a subject matter expert. So let's start off right away by who is PaperSave. So PaperSave is an automated workflow AP process for your accounting department. We will automate, centralize the documents, 100% OCR, being able to eliminate manual data entry. And we are all accessible throughout your Blackbaud Financial Edge NXT system. Now, you don't have to be a user of Financial Edge to work inside of PaperSave, but that is one of our advantages, is being able to have that tight integration with inside of Financial Edge. And we actually have been a partner with Blackbaud for 20 plus years. So we come with a strong background of our workings with inside of the Blackbaud accounting systems and the development systems. So here are my top 5 tips and tricks. So if you are an existing customer and you don't know these, great. It's going to be very beneficial for you. If you're a prospect that is looking to implement an automatic AP automation workflow tool, these will be some enticing things that we can provide for you. So the first thing I like to talk about is that integration that we have with FENXT, Financial Edge NXT. And that is because we have this tight integration, we leverage a lot of the data that already exists inside of Financial Edge as defaults. And so what I mean by that is if you're capturing an invoice with inside of PaperSave's APIA, Accounts Payable Invoice Automation, that's an acronym for you. We're going to not only validate that invoice is a valid vendor, but then we're going to pull in some valuable information from that vendor record into fields that you're not going to have to populate, like maybe due date, GL distribution, or posting date. And so I'm going to flip over to my screen here and just kind of show you what I mean by that. So we do have OCR. We're not going to talk a lot about that today. OCR is that optical character recognition. But what we do is when we find that vendor, we also find the invoice date, dollar amount, invoice date here. Then we will automatically populate the due date based on terms. So if this vendor, Signorama, inside of Financial Edge has a term of net 30, then we'll calculate that. We'll also pull in default GL distribution, so you don't have to key that in, as well as remit to and the post date. Now, keep in mind that all of these fields and data are being pulled live from Financial Edge. So if you happen to add a new vendor into Financial Edge NXT, PaperSave is going to be able to find that. If they change the terms, it's immediately update and we can find that. And so that is really leveraging that tight integration that we have with inside of the FENXT system. So if you're a current customer and you don't have default set up on your vendor records inside of Financial Edge, I would encourage you to do that so that PaperSave can eliminate that manual data entry for you. Or if you don't have terms set up, you can do that and we'll automatically populate those fields as well. All right, that's the first tip, right? Tip and tricks. The second one is what we refer to as interrelated documents. So that is an interesting term, but when you think about how transactions are related to one another with inside of Financial Edge, PaperSave, because of, again, that integration that we have and utilizing those tables and data from inside of Financial Edge, we're actually leveraging that so that documents can be related to one another. So if you've ever been asked about, hey, you know, I want to see all the documents for a specific invoices for a specific vendor. Well, if you're not using a system like PaperSave, right? You're either going to the filing cabinet or you're going out to the network drive and searching for all of those and trying to get them into a, you know, maybe a download into a zip file, or maybe if you're not familiar with this tip with inside of Financial Edge, there is a button that looks like this on the record where this stands for our interrelated documents. And simply by clicking on that, you'll get every document in PaperSave related to that vendor. So let's go ahead and flip over to my demo. And I keep looking over here because that's where my icon is. But let's go into Financial Edge and we're going to open it up here. And I'm going to sign in. And it remembers me, so that's good. I'm going to go into payables and I'm going to open up a vendor. So I'm going to show you what I mean by those interrelated documents. I'm just going to pick one vendor. We'll go into 360 and I'm going to say view. Our integration, you'll see that PaperSave becomes a tile. So that is, again, this isn't a tip and tricks, but that's where we are nestled right with inside of the FE NXT windows. This happens to be a vendor. But see this icon here? That is our interrelated. So if somebody says, hey, Tammy, I need to see all of the invoices for 360 Net, I simply open up their vendor record, click on interrelated. PaperSave is going to pull all of those documents. And there could be, you know, let's see, there's only 18, but listen, it could be hundreds, right? If I only want to see the invoices, well, that's great. I can filter and say they only want to see the record type equal to or starts with invoices, right? So I can apply the filter. Once I do that, PaperSave gives me all of this additional information based on those records, right? They're all vendor 360. I can see the dollar amount, the invoice date, the coding. And listen, I have a way of sharing this. If it's me that wants to see it, I just click on this hyperlink here and I can flip through them like a slideshow. I can see if somebody approved it. I can see that it went through an approval process and I can flip through them like a slide deck here. I can see the data that was used to create the transaction. And we'll talk a little bit more about that on other tip and tricks, but I can also see that association and the approval process. Every time I also look at something, this is another sneak peek. PaperSave is going to also track an audit trail and who's viewed it. But see how simple that was? I navigated right to that vendor. I clicked on the double boxes, right? That's that box that says interrelated, and I got all of those documents for that vendor. Now, I could also share them as well. So this was me flipping through them. But if you want to share them via email, somebody internally wants to see these documents and maybe they don't have rights into Financial Edge, that's fine. Or two, you haven't given them the ability to do their own search inside of PaperSave, because they can do that as well. I can email this, all of these documents. If it's somebody internally, in my case, it's going to open up Outlook and it's going to put all of those documents in a hyperlink. So somebody has to have the rights into PaperSave, but they would just click on this and they'd get this same view. All right. So that is one simple way of getting all the documents related to a specific vendor. All right. Let's go back to my PowerPoint here. So this works really well too. So if you are, let's say you wanted to look at a payment run, right? You can say, give me all of the documents related to that payment run. That's another option. I did just vendor, but typically that's usually the biggest ask, right? All right, so let's go to the next trick. These are the active invoice dashboards. So we're going to step back here and think about what your process is. If you are using PaperSave with Financial Edge, because we do have customers on the line, or maybe you're a prospect, think about when somebody asks you, hey, where is this invoice? Or how many, what is the estimated payments or cash in the next week? Or a vendor calls and says, hey, we haven't gotten a payment on this. Has this invoice been approved? Trying to find that, if you're using PaperSave currently, you're able to do that query and find it. But one of the things that PaperSave has rolled out are dashboards. And this is going to give accounting insight as to where a document is at any given time. Who has it? Where is it? When has it been approved? Why hasn't it been approved? All of that is going to be at your fingertips. And it's not just a summary. You're going to be able to drill down and take action on those documents. So if somebody's out of the office, or they've been non-responsive, or you just need to get somebody to approve it right away, you can take action on it, being somebody in accounting who has that authority. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So again, I'm going to navigate into PaperSave. I'm going to close this off. This is coming back out here. This is my home page of PaperSave. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but if I was accounts payable and I wanted to know all of the invoices, or find the invoices that were out in my workflow someplace being approved, routed for approval, all I'd have to do is go into this workflow here, click on that tile, and then I'd slide this button over to say I want to see my dashboard. So very quickly here, you can see I have one that's past due. This is my summary of my invoices. These are my active invoices. These are invoices waiting for approval. There are 112 out there. They total $333,000. I can see the bucket. So in the next 15 days, or 15 days out or more, I have 110 outstanding, all the way down into what's past due. I can drill down right into this icon here. I can see the document, right? I can see who owns it. It's in my AP validation step, and Holly is the owner of it. If I needed to, I could take action and redirect this to somebody else, right? I can change the owner. Maybe Holly's out of the office, and I can send it to Cecile, and I need her to take action on it. So now immediately Cecile knows she's got something in her PaperSave queue for processing. I could also maybe make the change myself and approve it if I have that ability. So PaperSave breaks those down based on the values that the OCR, the optical character recognition, is pulling in. On the bottom right here, I can see I've got workflows that are going to take this invoice or these invoices through an approval process. I can see what is in each of my steps, but more importantly, I can toggle over here and I can see who owns those items, right? So maybe I find out that Jennifer is out of the office. She had to leave unexpectedly, and we don't know when she's going to come back. So I'm going to click on these. I see that she's a reviewer. She owns these 8 items. I can actually, again, redirect these to an individual, another individual. And let's say we're going to send those to Luann. Again, Luann will be notified that she's got documents, but more importantly, those are documents that have already come into the organization, your organization. All those other invoices that are going to come in that might need to be directed to Luann for approval. We know she's going to be out. We maybe not sure when she's going to come back. I can go in and I can set her out of office so that when she comes back, let's say we want to push them out at least to the 3rd, we're going to send all of hers to Luann, and I'm going to say out of office here. And if I hit save, anything through the natural routing of a document that's sent to Jennifer, will automatically be sent to Luann. So we don't have any bottlenecks of things sitting in somebody's inbox, PaperSave queue, workflow, step, just getting idle and stale out there. PaperSave is going to give you this dashboard so that you can manage and monitor and see where things are, so that things aren't landing in the past due area. All right. So that's one of our dashboards. That is the active invoice dashboard. Another dashboard is the historical dashboard. And this dashboard provides detail on documents that have already gone through the workflow approval process. And again, we can talk more about that on a one-on-one demo, but I'm giving tips and tricks today of things that are going to help you perform your job in a more streamlined manner, right? So this is, again, I always step back and say, as an accounts payable admin in my previous life, one of the things I had to do was prepare for an audit. And I had to pull all of those documents for an audit. And again, if you're a current customer of PaperSave, utilizing PaperSave, you can do searches inside of PaperSave and pull those documents out. But with this historical dashboard, you can drill down and see right to a week inside of a year. So let's go over to that, and I'm going to show that screen as well. So again, from that same location, right, I can come in here, click on my tile or my tile that says workflow. It takes me to this dashboard, but simply by clicking on this drop down arrow, I can choose my historical documents. Now, one thing I want to make sure I have on is that, okay. Sometimes I hide my historical documents. So from here, I'm looking at year to date, right? But maybe I want to look at last year. The auditors have come in. They want to see all of the invoices for a certain month. I can go, all right, let's look at July. I can even see, just visually see what maybe our busier months are than others. This is a nice visual too, to just kind of understand, hey, what is the cash flow needed? And when are our busiest times that we get invoices? And you can see I pay a lot of things or process a lot of things late. So ignore that data. But if the auditors wanted to see things in a certain month, I can just click here. I could drill down to weeks within that month, right? And even see more granular by clicking here, and I get those documents, right? But let's go in and see more of them. And I can say, let's drill down and see all of the invoices for the month of July. So we only processed 18. But from here, look at what I have. I know that all of this information is along these these columns. But if the auditors want to see them, all I have to do is click on this button here. It highlights all of them. And I can export this out into an Excel spreadsheet. All right. So from here in this Excel spreadsheet, I would have hidden a lot of these columns here. PaperSave does provide a lot of information, which is great. Oops, I don't want to hide all of those. Let's just hide these. I can share this Excel spreadsheet with the auditors. Just set them up as a user in PaperSave that they can view documents, and they have all the detail that they need, right? Who's approved it, when it was approved, when it was posted. And then they can click on this icon here. PaperSave will open up for them. They can see the document. Again, they can see that workflow, who approved it and when was it brought in, who approved it, who submitted it into the system. And then they can also see the detail of the data that's inside of Financial Edge. So this is going to give them access. And as soon as they close this up, they can go to the next one. That you don't have to file anything back. You're not reproducing the document as another PDF, but you do give them access to that for the audit. This is also beneficial if you're doing you have to create and get documents for the board, or maybe even need to produce a graph, right, for the board members. you're going to be able to see that as well. So let's go back to, close this out here, go back to my home page. So I can produce this, or I can click on any of these columns and or buttons here. One of the other things that this historical gives you is what I refer to as the naughty and the nice list, right? I can see the approvers that take the longest, and I can see the approvers that are the quickest. Now, even my quick approver takes too long to approve things, but this will kind of also give you an insight as to maybe who you need to remind more often, right? And PaperSave does send out reminders, but this historical can also be broken down by multiple date ranges. All right, so let's go back to check my time here. Got a few more minutes. Oops, well, didn't mean to jump there. Let's go. All right, searches. So we've got dashboards that allow you to drill down into specific documents, right? Timeframes, are they active? Are they historical? I can see the detail. But what if you need to find invoices that were posted between a certain date range for a certain dollar amount, coded to a certain fund, and you needed to get those documents? Again, maybe it's for a board meeting or those auditors, or maybe somebody asked you, hey, we bought this printer 2 years ago. Where do we buy it? We need to get service on it, or we need to buy another one, or something like that. Those are those needles in the haystack that you are asked to do if you're accounts payable or on the accounting team, those unique questions, right, that take a long time to research and define. Well, PaperSave has simple and advanced searches that immediately will give you access to the documents and find documents based on specific criteria. So we're going to show that as well. So I'm going to pop over here and go out to my home page of PaperSave again. And again, here's a tile here that says search. So I'm going to click on that. The first search is simple. This is like a contents, right? So I can type in a word, and I always like to type uncle because it's a unique word. PaperSave right now is searching every document in my system, finding a document that contains the word uncle. Now, mine are mostly PDFs, but certainly you can have emails, JPEGs, Word documents, and what have you that contain that word. But when I click on it, and if I flip through all of these, every single one of these documents contain the word uncle, right? Now, these might be the same invoices over and over again, but know that it's found every single document inside of PaperSave that contains that word. And again, I always have the ability to manage these or share them if I have the rights. I can share them as an email link. I could have them as attachments. 40 might be a lot. I can download them to a zip file. You still get to print things. I hope that when you have PaperSave, or if you're using PaperSave now, you don't print things. And again, I always have the ability to export documents out. That's great. Simple. Content search. Find everything that contains a word or a number or a letter or whatever it might be. Advanced search allows for more detailed information. So let's go into the Financial Edge here. I have the ability to search on everything. We're focusing today a lot on the accounts payable process, which seems to be the largest pain point for most of our customers. But, you know, PaperSave integrates with a lot of other areas with inside of Financial Edge. That is an extra tip for today. So you can actually leverage PaperSave to be that repository for a lot of other documents. So you can completely get rid of those filing cabinets and or those network drives. All right. So let's go out into invoices, and I'm going to filter on my Financial Edge automation documents. And now what do I want to find? Maybe I want to find dollar amounts greater than equal to, and I can say greater than $1,500. And then I can continue to just keep picking things. Maybe I want distribution, or I want date range, or I want approved by, hold for payment, paid for, if this is a 1099. I can just continue to keep picking these things. Once I've done my queries, I can hit search. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick one that I already have a search for, because I can save these. This is distribution. And I can click on that, and you can save them. And if you want a compiled list always, or continually growing list. There is 142 documents. And again, here's all that data. What is the search criteria? For this, the search criteria is distribution that contains this account. For these date ranges, I can put in a dollar amount. Again, all of this is filterable, and then you can save it. So if this is a report you need to run on a monthly basis or an annual basis, that query will be there, and you'll be able to then see those documents and filter through them like a slideshow or share them with others. All right, so very quick access to the data that you need to get the supporting documents for the inquiry that was asked of you. Not having to spend hours filtering through the filing cabinet or the network drive. If you're not using PaperSave, you're having to do that, right? If you're currently using PaperSave and you didn't know about that search, I'm hopeful that that is one of the biggest tips that you take away today, so we can save you more time and make you more efficient. All right, honorable mention, I actually already talked about. I got excited and I already showed you the export to Excel, but I want to stress how that is just one of those tips that a lot of our customers forget about, that you can export the data out, getting all of that detail and a link right back to the document. All right, so that's my honorable mention. Farah, I'm turning it over to you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, thank you so much for that, Tammy, and thank you for all the demoing. I will say we've got about 50 questions in the chat, so good. I'm doing my best to filter through some of them. Okay. One of the biggest ones that I'll throw out there, just because about 10 people asked this, was about the dashboard and whether that invoice dashboard comes with PaperSave automatically or if that's an add-on.
That's a great question. So if you are an existing customer, I'm going to refer you to your account manager. If you don't know who that is, you can send an email to info@PairSoft. But we have different levels of PaperSave, and the analytics, that's what that's called, is in our enterprise. So I can't answer if it's an add-on module for you or not, because I don't know where you are in the subscription model. So your account manager will be able to help you with that.
Perfect. And just a reminder to everyone, you can keep sending questions in through the chat, because even as we wrap up here, we will be replying to you individually with specific information, whether you're interested or whether you're an existing customer. Another one is, are extra Blackbaud licenses needed for people who need to view or approve these documents?
No, that's a great question. So PaperSave, you do not have to have a license into Financial Edge to use PaperSave. Now, obviously, when I was in Financial Edge at that vendor record, you would need a Financial Edge to be in Financial Edge. But all of the searches, all of the dashboards, approval and a workflow and PaperSave, you do not need a license. You just have to be set up as a user in PaperSave, but not Financial Edge.
Awesome. Another one we have is, do you think, I mean, this is subjective to me, do you think the OCR is worth it to have with a system? And if so, why?
Okay. I can answer that. And yes, it is a little subjective. However, I've done your job before too. So think about that. So being a former accounts payable admin and knowing the manual banging out the keys and the time that it takes, and sometimes the errors that happen as you're keying in data into your accounting system. Yes, OCR is going to help streamline that process. And really, from an accounts payable admin's person standpoint, it's going to free you up to do a lot more important tasks for the department than banging on keys. So yes, I would say, again, being a person who used to do it to somebody who's selling it today, I am a little objective, but I've done the job, and it's well worth it. It's going to save you time and really eliminate a lot of those data entry errors that might occur.